If someone came in off the street and came into my school and challenged me to a fight in mutual combat, would I accept such a challenge? That is this week's Semper Fortis Jiu-Jitsu question of the week. And I am al-Aziz, the owner and head instructor of Semper Fortis Jiu-Jitsu, and here to tackle this week's question of the week. So the question comes from one of my students who had watched some videos of the old Gracie challenges. And there's a lot of videos, footage out there of people of other martial arts or just, tough individuals who would come up to the Gracies and, challenge them to say, I don't believe your martial art would work against me. I want to fight. Early in Rio de Janeiro, Carlos Gracie even took out advertisements saying, hey, if you want to get your face well smashed in, you think you're a tough guy, come to this address. And there was the Gracie challenge for years, and you could see, everybody from Hoist, Horian, Helson. There's videos of Pedro Sauer, famous video of Pedro Sauer fighting a former Mr. Utah bodybuilder, and Pedro was like a real small guy, and he challenged Pedro, and he probably outweighed Pedro by probably 100 pounds. It was like he was significantly bigger, and of course Pedro beat the dude up, and so that's sort of the history and the background of the Gracie challenge and of these martial arts challenges. Sometimes you'll watch movies where like somebody will show up at school and they'll be like, I challenge your sensei to a fight. And so what would I do if somebody came? And not only am I going to give you the answer, but I'm going to give you the reasons. So if somebody came to my school and said, hey, al-Aziz, I challenge you to combat, or, whatever the scenario is, sort of like the movies, would I accept? Absolutely not. I would not accept this challenge. But I want to differentiate a challenge of mutual combat from, self-defense. Now, if somebody came in and assaulted me, I would give them their first jiu-jitsu lesson for free. Or if somebody came in and assaulted one of my customers, once again, in self-defense, they would get their first jiu-jitsu lesson for free. But if they come in and they're like, I just want to fight you. No. And the reason for the no is our society has changed dramatically. One, I'm a business owner. So if somebody comes in and challenges me to a fight and I accept it and I hurt this person through mutual combat, there may not be, like I know some states, they have laws that, allow dueling or mutual combat still on the books. And I think that's dicey at best. So you may not be criminally charged with something, but you can rest assured that individual or their family may very well file a lawsuit against your business and sue you right out of business, even if it's something this person agreed to. And you see it all the time. A lot of states are dealing with that, and where a person will commit a crime. I think in New York, just recently, maybe a few months ago, this guy, he tried to mug this lady, and the lady turned out to be an off-duty police officer, and she shot and killed him. And now the guy's family is suing the city of New York for $10 million. And it's like, what? He was trying to mug her. He just happened to pick the wrong one who happened to be able to defend themselves. To me, it's a frivolous lawsuit, but at the end of the day, if somebody puts a lawsuit against you like that, you have to hire attorneys, and that's not free. That can be a lot of money, and then there's the potential that you could lose. So as a business owner, any martial arts business owner, regardless whether they're teaching Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, karate, kung fu, sambo, whatever, you'd be crazy to accept such a challenge, because there's a good chance you are going to be civilly liable, for that person's injuries. And so, no, I wouldn't accept it. If I had to defend myself in self-defense, absolutely. But if he's like, no, I just want to fight you, no. And I actually saw a crazy situation one time. It was so insane. This guy, he showed up to a friend of mine's school, and my friend was a brown belt, and he was running the school, and he shows up, and the kid's probably about, that shows up to fight. maybe about 19, 20, 21 years old, not very old, pretty young guy. And he challenges this brown belt to a fight to the death. And, we're there and we're like, what? Like, this is insane. And what was even more insane about it is the kid's father, this 19, 20-year-old kid, his father showed up with him. And the two of these knuckleheads thought it would be a good idea to challenge an experienced martial artist to a fight to the death. And fortunately, cooler heads prevailed. The irony was there happened to have been a Gracie family member at the school on that day. And you know how sometimes you just can't read folks? Like, the Gracie family member was like, hey brother, why don't we talk about this outside? And the kid, I think, really thought like, oh no, we're gonna have a polite conversation outside. And what was really gonna happen, my read on it, was he was getting ready to get a beat down. But fortunately, calmer heads prevailed. There was no fight to the death or any other type of damage to this person. But the thing is, it's like, who would come in, and what sane person would show up and want to fight to the death against an experienced martial artist? It's like, that's crazy. And especially they show up with their father. It's like, oh, now we got two crazy people, and legally, am I going to be justified in hurting them? And not only that, maybe there's no criminal penalty for it, but civilly, what's the lawsuit going to look like if I hurt a person that's clearly disturbed? Like, sane people just don't do stuff like that. So it's like, I know you're disturbed. Am I justified in hurting you for this? I would say no. So I absolutely would not accept any kind of silly challenge like that. But like I said, I want to differentiate between a silly challenge of dueling, fight to the death, against self-defense. Self-defense, I'm always going to do, But would I ever consider accepting such a challenge? Absolutely not. And for years, martial artists, throughout, the world have accepted challenges like this. But society has changed so much, and we're in a very civil lawsuit happy society. And if you are a black belt in whatever martial art, you accept such a challenge against an unskilled person, or even if they was a black belt from another martial art, and you hurt them, maybe you'll go to jail, but then maybe you'll lose your business because of the civil lawsuit that follows. And you could go broke just defending yourself against this lawsuit. So that is my answer for this week's question of the week. No, you should not do, if you are a martial arts school owner, you should not do any kind of challenges like that. You should not accept it. I would just simply tell the person to leave. If they didn't leave, I'd call the police. And if the only way I'm going to combat against them is if they then would assault me or one of my students, but not be like, yeah, let's step outside or let's step on these mats and have a challenge. It's like, that's nonsense. And yeah, you're not going to get away with doing something like that. So that's the answer to this week's question of the week. I'll put a video about whether black belts have to register their hands as deadly weapons. You can check out the video to get more information. But one thing to consider is, one, spoiler alert, you don't have to register your hands. But two, you could be more civilly liable or even criminally liable because you have this skill set and you're using that. So yeah, it would just be a totally bad idea. But it's been done before. However, those people that did it before, they didn't get sued, to my knowledge. But that's something that could happen. So I would say don't do it. All right, that's the answer. See y'all next.